Hello, beautiful people. Mic check, mic check. Thank you, beautiful. Appreciate you. We're going to get to it. Shout out to everybody who's watching. Hit the like button, share the live. It's good to be here with you all on this bright Saturday. I hope that you are staying safe and that you are staying warm and that if for some reason you lose power, right? You don't burn anything in your home that is not in a fireplace. Okay. Do not bring the barbecue grill into your home. And some people might think that's funny, but it will kill you. Okay. You will die. Don't do that. Don't bring the barbecue grill into the garage. Right. You will kill your whole family. Unfortunately, something that happens when there are major storms, people don't know. So it's something that I repeat. Um, because not I haven't had personal family experience, but I've had personal experience and it's horrible. So sorry to start it off on a bad note, but we're starting off with in reality anyway. I went to bed last night and I thought to myself, boy, Saturday is just in the way. Saturday is just in the way. I'm trying to get to Sunday, trying to get to that football game on Sunday. Saturday is just in the way. And then Saturday made itself relevant. So go Hawks, Buckeyes. If you don't know, ICE murdered a man in front of a donut shop in Minneapolis this morning. It was recorded from several angles. Uh, he is a 37-year-old man who was recording ICE. He is seen on camera moving away. He starts off in the street. He's seen on camera moving away from them to get onto the sidewalk, interacting with a couple other people who are also documenting what is going on. And then an ICE agent lunges at him, and 6 to 8 ICE officers then pile on top of him, and then they shoot him to death. They shoot him, then they shoot him again several more times. Several more times while he's lying in the street, potentially already dead. Their statements came out so fast. I would imagine from a crisis communications standpoint, I would imagine that they have words drafted for different scenarios because their statement came out so fast. First, they said he had a gun, then they said he pulled a gun, then they said he was trying to take a gun from one of the officers. The Minnesota State Republicans also seem to have put together a statement very quickly, blaming the mayor and the governor because they used the F word. The government has said that he attacked the officers. Once again, the entire encounter is on video, several different angles. I've already said this, but I'm going to say it again. White people in this country as a collective, so this excludes individual white people. Okay. But white people as a collective in this country don't get it. What is it? Picking it. They don't get it. And as long as we continue to see white people on social media screaming, do something, nothing is going to be done because they're not doing anything. They're demanding somebody else do something. White people still got the nerve to get on social media in 2026. I just saw a video the other day. Might have been yesterday. It was either yesterday or Thursday. Calling out black people. Where are we at? I'm not going to a protest and putting my body on the line next to somebody who would film me getting fucked up by the police before they would step in to try and protect me. Y'all don't get it. Y'all don't get it. As long as we continue to see prosecutors say, ICE, we're watching you. If you violate the law in our jurisdiction, you will be prosecuted. But will they be arrested? Will they be arrested by the local law enforcement on the ground, watching it go down in real time? Themselves being detained by ICE when they're off duty in their plain clothes. You are illegally stopped by ICE. You are illegally detained by ICE. You are a police officer. You could arrest them for that. You are seeing them defy court orders, using chemical weapons they're not supposed to use, approaching peaceful protesters, peaceful observers, intentionally ramming into people's cars, driving around with masks on when masks have been banned in local jurisdictions, driving around with no license plate or swapped license plates when that is also against the law. You are doing nothing. 7 Democrats in the House just voted to give ICE, ICE will get 15%, to give Homeland Security $1.5 trillion, the largest block of which will go to ICE. Seven House Democrats voted yes. 7. It would not have passed if they had not voted for it. Your healthcare money, your education money, your housing money, your ag money, there it goes. They absolutely are. They absolutely are. No, instead, the police are on television saying there is currently an unlawful assembly at the location where the shooting happened. We have ordered you all to disperse. It is unlawful. Okay. Okay. You don't fucking get it. Your city is being attacked by a lawless gang of thugs. And they are behaving lawlessly because they know you're not going to arrest them. You are not going to see a local city cop, somebody from the sheriff's department, pull a gun on an ICE agent. You're not going to see that. And that's part of the problem. Nicole, this is absolutely my fight. However, when, how I join is up to me. And I base that on my safety and the participation of whites because nothing changes until they swing as hard as I swing. That's exactly right. Nothing changes until they swing as hard as I swing. That's so beautifully put. It's devastating. It's not surprising. Is it shocking? Yes. Enraging? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's enraging. And one of the things that is so enraging is we're watching white people, the collective white people, play pin the tail on the fucking donkey as a response. They are gonna hit everything but the ass. That's gonna be the very last thing they find. They don't even have a blindfold on. Blinders? Yeah, blindfold? No. like they've never seen a fucking donkey before. Yeah, "Don't tread on me" was all talk. Okay? "Don't tread on me" was all talk. All talk. Young Fuss, it's just like you said in your video, the Democrats have no backbone. They do a bunch of posturing and posing. This is wrong, and then they don't vote to do anything about it. I'm so fucking disgusted. I'm just so disgusted. They have no plan. They are not meeting this moment. So while I am sick and tired of seeing white people on social media crying, "Do something," while they literally sit at home on the couch, Democrats need to be on the ground in Minneapolis en masse. If you ain't been on the ground awake for at least 72 hours, why are you talking? They need to blanket the city. They need to put their bodies on the line. Is it fair? No. Terrifying? Yes. Is that what meeting the moment is? Yes. That is a proportional response. Goldie says, "Honestly, Abs, I'm beginning to think this is the plan. Don't do shit, wait it out, and hope they can get their votes to stay in power doing fuck all when the next election cycle comes." Yeah, they're literally hoping they can ride on vibes, which is people's outrage. That's all they need to carry them through the midterms. That's not all you need. You should have a candidate for president now. You don't. You should have a national platform of messaging now. You don't. Where's the Democrats' Project 2028? They don't have one. It is a dereliction of duty. Nihilotic. Did I say that right? Or nihilotic? Nihilotic? I'm going off of I phonics was my jam as a child. So thank you for the breakdown. I see nihilotic. I did it. Thank you. Oh man, I started working on this the other day. I can't even remember his name. Let me see, where is it? Oh, yeah, that's right, because I changed the thumbnail of the pod. That means I have it downloaded already. Hold on, let me find it. Wait, do I have it downloaded? Yeah, I should have it downloaded. There it is. That took forever. You see this little motherfucker down here in the corner? Jesus Christ, I can't even remember his fucking name. That's right. See this enthusiastic gentleman down here in the corner? That's Ken Martin. He's the chair of the Democratic National Committee. This is all his fault. Gavel. Do you believe him? That's your first impression of him. Do you believe him? Do you believe Ken? Would you follow Ken into battle? How the fuck you think I feel? The Democrats suck. They absolutely fucking suck. These are the leaders. I did not put Gavin Newsom on here because Gavin Newsom is a joke as a national Democratic leader. He's a nice hammer against Donald Trump. That does not mean that he is a good Democratic leader. And as a matter of fact, the only reason Gavin Newsom looks progressive is because Donald Trump is crazy. If Donald Trump weren't crazy, Gavin Newsom would be helping him. He is extremely conservative. Cory Booker still talking about ICE needs better training. Can he explain which training fixes this? Yeah, what are body cams going to do about this? Extremely conservative. The fact that that video exists and that we've all seen it still twists my mind. He took video himself. And then they made it public. That is the craziest. And then the government has the nerve to say he followed all training protocol. That's the protocol now? Film yourself shooting? Is that what they're doing when they go to the gun range? They got their phone, their personal phone, after they drove in their personal vehicle. That's how they're practicing target practice with a cell phone in hand. That's training, huh? Okay. Oh yeah, this has been a compounding problem for decades. A compounding problem. Like 50 years. But we'll go with 26. 26 is also accurate, but it has been a compounding problem for decades that has led us to this moment. And there is no justification for that. None. There is no justification for that. Nothing justifies a yes vote for ICE funding. Nothing. 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 7. That there's nothing more demonstrative, no more evidence needed that the Democrats have no plan and they are not unified because you have no control over your caucus. If 7 of them voted yes, they have no plan. They have no material response. I haven't even gotten there yet. I planned to this weekend prepare an episode about this and get into all of that. I haven't gotten there. I haven't gotten there. Yes, right next to the county prosecutor's building. Right next door. They're a fucking joke at this point. Just yellow-bellied, rolled over, weak. 1000%. And they completely underestimate the will of the people. Completely. They are fucking around. God is my witness. They gonna find out. They unloaded a clip into a man who was already shot twice. Looked dead. On an American street on a Saturday morning in front of the donut shop. somebody or somebodies are just getting their gun off, shooting a lifeless body. Shooting a lifeless body. That's what you see. They are literally attacking people in the street who are not breaking the law, attacking them. They were kicking him, punching him, potentially pistol whipping him. Somebody shoots him, and then somebody just gets their gun off into his body. That's what the video shows. He moved away from them, and the federal government says he attacked them. That is everybody's problem. The federal government is obstructing justice by lying openly. Refusing to investigate, refusing to indict. That is everybody's problem. Because this posture will not be limited to ICE. It will cover anybody in law enforcement, local or federal, who they choose to protect because the circumstance works for them. The narrative that they have the power to create works for them. They are killing people for narrative and material control of American cities, and Democrats are voting to fund ICE. Yeah, and then they're gonna blame the people, and it will never be the fault of the people. Not in reality. It will never, ever be the fault of the people. People who get on social media and are don't play into their hands. What the fuck are you talking about? That's not how oppression works. Just comply. That's the same thing. Be peaceful, don't play into their hands. That's the same thing as just comply and you'll be fine. Same thing. That man wasn't doing anything wrong. He was in compliance with the law, and they attacked him, killed him, and then just fired a bunch of bullets into his lifeless body. Just don't fight it. It'll be over quick. Yeah, it's rape culture. All right. Well, oh baby, there are other governors in other states who are calling organizers like, if you are going to, or if you're going to do something, can we get a commitment from you that you're going to keep it peaceful? Call your cops and tell them that. Get the fuck out my face. Anyway, Chad is suing Pharrell. Again, they're the ones that were on TV talking about there's an unlawful assembly down there right now and people need to disperse. You're not speaking rationally. The last thing people are going to do is disperse. That crowd quadrupled like that. Disperse. What a fucking joke. Oh, I promise you that there are Democratic governors who are not going to speak out because they don't want to give the president a reason. Wrong answer. So we're unfortunately stuck in this cycle until white people hit a critical mass of figuring it the fuck out and choosing to do something different. That's really what it comes down to. People are going to continue to die and be injured and be kidnapped, be used as bait against their family members, unlawfully detained, sexually assaulted, denied due process. That's all going to continue to happen as we wait for white people to have a collective light bulb moment. That in order to fight against something you've never experienced before, you need to be willing to do things you've never done before to win. It's only going to get worse. Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is. All because we have an irrational, deranged commander in chief who just likes to play puppet master for his own entertainment to make himself feel big and powerful. Donald Trump equates power equals pain. Power equals bloodshed. And if he is not behaving powerfully, then he is weak and therefore the country is weak. That's the equation in his mind, and that's his recipe. And that's why doing all of this works for him. He doesn't care about people at all. Not one bit. Not Americans, not anybody. Donald Trump does not care about people at all. He would feel better if a lot of people died, especially Americans. He sees them as an expense, not as an investment. And they're still voting for it today. When you vote to fund his policies, you're still voting for it today. 7 Democrats. Unconscionable. He took insurrectionists who committed federal felonies, pardoned them, and then gave them a job as a part of his enforcement squad. Complicit, that's what they are. They're complicit. The 2 things that I think about most in a given day are the Democrats fucking suck. I think about it a lot because it affects me in the real world. And, uh, I can't wait for him to die. I hope I personally live long enough to see it because none of us is promised tomorrow. So I personally hope that I live long enough to see that day. I just cannot wait for him to die. I've already said my personal preference is stroke out on national television so we can all be witness to it, just like we're all witness to this man who was murdered today. So yeah, those are the 2 things that I think about the most. The Democrats suck. Every conversation with them sucks. Every meeting with them sucks. They suck. They suck. And I can't wait for him to die. And I hope the world doesn't end before we get Act 3. Those are the things I think about the most in a given day. Yeah, yeah, in that order. Democrats, die, Act 3. Those are my priorities. Have been for a minute. I mean, you'd be more right about that than people who say the Dems are supposed to be an opposition party. They are not, never have been. There's never been an opposition leader in the history of the United States, ever. The Democrats are not an opposition party. They were not designed to be that way. They never will be that way. So this is a more accurate prescription of what the two-party system actually is. It's so necessary. It's so necessary. And I have to believe that she's just continuing, to cook. And when it comes, it will be the exact right moment. So maybe yes. I have no problem saying it. Brain aneurysm 2027. Little bitty one. Hello, beautiful. Thank you for the $10 contribution. There is no normal. This comes with sacrifice, loss, and pain. Carefully organized parade protests and strongly worded letters mean nothing. Correct. They are not proportional responses. Republicans are not playing the same game, period. That's correct. And they are making the rules up as we go along. Me too. Me too. Unfortunately. Unfortunately, I'm like, yes, let rock Beyonce be the soundtrack to the crumbling of America. Yes. Yes. Give me something. Shit. But I have been thinking about that quite a bit over the past couple days because we've talked a lot about MAGA music, right? And MAGA in hip hop and vice versa. And I said that I think that Nicki might have an album this year and she's gonna go full blown MAGA on it. But then we've been talking about other albums that are supposed to come. Drake is a non-starter. J. Cole is J. Cole. There are other artists that are gonna get it off this year, but I wonder what the soundtrack of history is going to be for this moment. Because art is a powerful motivator, and art is a part of every confrontation and resistance, more importantly. And I've been thinking about that. I've been thinking about who is going to unequivocally give voice to this moment. I don't know. That's all right, beautiful. Hello, good to see you. Oh, thank you, beautiful. I mean, we are in a really, really bad, 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 bad place. I haven't listened to it yet, but I intend to. Yeah, I was thinking about that as well. The longer this goes on, the more multi-million dollar artists just aren't gonna fit the moment. It'll be your backyard artists that fit the moment. And it'll probably also be artists around the world who are witnessing what is happening. Something tells me it won't be Pharrell. Feel like Pharrell flew too close to the sun in the final quarter of 2025 and kind of cooked himself with his politics is the problem. Remember that? And he just doesn't participate in it. Meanwhile, he's rubbing elbows with several conservative millionaires and billionaires who, are fucking with our quality of life. Anti-affirmative action Pharrell. That is correct. Yes, he did have things to say about DEI, talking all the way out the side of his fucking neck. Yep, white supremacist talking points. That is correct. Now he's being sued. By Chad Hugo, no less. The irony. That's what I said at the time that he, made those comments. I was like, do you not see yourself in the job that you are in? That you were not qualified for when you received said job. But go off, King. Because he's living in a white supremacist world. And it has made him delusional. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, his influence on music is too vast for me to go through my whole catalog and be like, "Well, I'm not playing that because he wrote that riff," and I'm not doing that, but, eh, Pharrell has lost touch, and if he dropped an album tomorrow, I wouldn't listen to it. It's a good thing that the Clips album came out when it did. I'm very grateful that the Clips album came out when it did because I wouldn't have listened to it. If it had come out after he had said that shit, I would have never heard that magic. I would have never heard that magic. Never. Mm-mm. 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 But I told y'all when they performed at the Vatican, and he made his little speech and whatnot, I was like, okay, okay. I think, and this was before he had made those comments. I said, oh, I've seen it. Pharrell is completely separated from real black people. He is on some all we need is kumbaya type shit. If all we had was the healing power of music, the world would be a better place type shit. I'm like, this dude is Delulu. He's Delulu. He's in that J. Cole Lotus bullshit. Nope, that's not how the real world works, sir. You got too much money. That's the problem here. You got too much money and you live in Europe, in high society Europe. Just because you can bring black people around you, that's not the same thing as black people actually being a part of high society Europe. But again, go off, King. Anyway, he being sued by his closest collaborator. This is funny. Oh, Jojo, true. I'm glad the Clips album came out when it did. But now, when I hear that one hook about Ferrari leather, I just glare at my speakers with ardent disdain. That is so true. There are a couple songs on there where I do glare at the speakers like, nigga, shut up. That's exactly right. That's exactly right, Sunstar. Good to see you, beautiful. That Lemon remix with Rihanna, my jam. Still in my rotation today, but only the remix with Rihanna. The original without, nah. Yeah. I mean, it's all problematic. Again, we're all hypocrites, right? We're all hypocrites. On the one hand, we love it. We love to see it. Beyonce said, I got expensive habits. I need expensive fabrics. We were like, yes, bitch, yes. Again, I contributed to her billionaire status. I can't even front. I can't even front. It's fire. It's absolute fire. But money is a brain rotting force if people are not vigilant. It really is. So, yeah. I I'm not going to be, actively supporting Pharrell in the future because you don't actively support me. It's that simple. You don't even go here. So there's that. But yes, I would like to give a shout out to Alex in particular because Alex found the docket literally while I was on Court Listener and Pacer searching for this damn lawsuit. And I could not find it. And he popped up in the captain's chat on the Discord Like, hey, I found and with the document, like PDF in the chat. I said, what the fuck? As I'm literally looking at Pacer be like, no results found, no result. I was searching every which way possible for that document. So shout out to Alex for just coming through with the whole thing and then also linking me to the docket so I could start alerts for it. But Chad Hugo is suing Pharrell, and it does make me think about the Clips rollout though, because anytime Pharrell does anything with music and he's doing interviews and stuff, the Neptunes comes up, and it definitely came up during the press run and in the wake of, right, um, the return of Clips. Lawsuits don't spring out of nowhere. I haven't read it. It's only 17 pages, but it'll be interesting to see what, if anything, we learn about the timeline of this issue between these two men. How long has it been going on for? And what if any action did Chad take to try and resolve this before deciding I'm going to need to file a federal lawsuit? There you are. Appreciate you. I don't know. I sent an email to court listener this morning about the Drake Second Circuit docket because that hasn't updated since November, and there was stuff in December and January. We just read his brief. Pacer hasn't even. I mean, court listener hasn't even aggregated that over. It's been more than a day, so I was like, problem here. Please help. They're usually pretty responsive, and we'll get it. Probably just refresh the whole thing. But yeah. A federal lawsuit. That will always get my attention. Number one, because I'm gonna be it's gonna be pretty easy to find the documents for us to talk about. So yes, this is Chad Hugo against Pharrell, Nerd Music LLC, Neptunes LLC, a couple other corporations, Branding Corporation and IP Holdings LLC, and Does 1 through 10. And this is for breach of fiduciary duty. That's number one. Number two, accounting, Nerd Music LLC. Number three, accounting, Neptunes LLC. Number four, declaratory relief and demand for a jury trial. Plaintiff Charles Edward Hugo, by his undersigned attorneys, files this complaint against defendants Pharrell Williams, and then all of those entities, for breach of fiduciary duty, accounting, and declaratory relief. In support thereof, plaintiff states and alleges as follows. All right, here we go. How y'all doing? Hit the like button, share the live. We've got just under an hour left to reach that chat goal. Plaintiff brings this action for breach of fiduciary duty, accounting, and declaratory relief arising from defendant Williams' systemic denial of plaintiff's contractual and ownership rights in the company and in the Neptunes entities. Over an extended period, defendant Williams has failed to provide plaintiff with access to essential financial records, has withheld distributions and profits to which plaintiff is entitled under the company's limited liability operating agreement, and has exercised control over the company and the Neptune's entities' revenues in a manner inconsistent with his fiduciary obligations to plaintiff. Through this action, plaintiff seeks a judicial declaration of his rights and defendant Williams' obligations under the operating agreement, the Neptune's entities operating agreement, and the defendant entities operating agreements, a full and transparent accounting of all revenues generated through the Neptune's entities and the company in connection with the production duo the Neptunes and the musical group Nerd, and the recovery of profits and distributions wrongfully withheld by defendant Williams, the company, and the Neptune's entities. Thank you, beautiful. Appreciate you. The court, okay, they go through jurisdiction and venue, parties. Charles Edward Hugo, personally known as Chad Hugo, is an individual, excuse me, residing in the state of Virginia. He is a founding member of the musical group Nerd, the production duo The Neptunes, and co-owner of the company and the Neptunes entities. Defendant Pharrell Williams is an individual residing in the state of Florida. Defendant Williams is a founding member of the musical group Nerd, the production duo The Neptunes, and co-owner of the company and the Neptunes entities. Defendant Williams is the managing member of the company. Upon information and belief, Defendant Williams is the managing member of the Neptunes entities. Upon information and belief, Defendant Williams is the sole or controlling owner and managing member of the defendant entities. And then it goes through the LLCs and whatnot. Doe's 1 through 10 true names and capacities are unknown at this time. Plaintiff will amend this complaint to allege their true names and capacities when ascertained. Chad realleges and incorporates by reference each and every allegation contained in paragraphs 1 through 15 as though fully set forth in the coming paragraphs. Chad and Pharrell are founders behind the music production duo The Neptunes and the musical group Nerd, two of the most influential musical forces of their generation whose innovative genre-bending sound helped shape modern hip-hop, R&B, and pop music. Chad and Pharrell met as teenagers in or around the late 1980s in Virginia Beach, Virginia, through school activities and local musical programs, and thereafter began collaborating musically. From the outset of their collaboration, Chad contributed core compositional, instrumental, and production work, while Pharrell contributed performance, vocal, and songwriting elements. In or around the early 1990s, Chad and Pharrell began operating professionally under the name The Neptunes, a production and songwriting duo through which they developed a distinctive musical and production style. Chad served as principal composer, arranger, multi-instrumentalist, and producer responsible for programming, instrumentation, and overall sound design, while Pharrell more frequently appeared as the public-facing member of the duo. Beginning in or around the late 1990s and continuing into the 2000s, the Neptunes wrote and produced commercially successful and critically acclaimed recordings for prominent artists in the hip-hop, R&B, and pop markets, including, among others, Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake, and Jay-Z. In or about 99, Chad and Pharrell, along with Sheldon Shay Haley, co-founded Nerd as an artist project to perform and release original material rather than solely producing recordings for third parties. Plaintiff served as Nerd's principal composer, multi-instrumentalist, and producer responsible for the group's genre-bending sound. In or about 01, Nerd released its debut studio album, In Search Of, followed by subsequent recordings including Fly or Die and other projects, which further expanded the creative and commercial reach of the parties' partnership. The combined success of the Neptunes and Nerd materially enhanced the professional reputations and earnings capacities of Chad and Pharrell individually and as a duo. It's a lot of words. Thank you. Appreciate you. Oh, thank you. You are also a light in these dark times. It's good to see you. It's good to have you here. Thank you, beautiful, for the $5 contribution towards the goal. We literally just started this. We're on page 5. We're just now getting into it. Okay. In or about 2014, Chad, Pharrell, and Mr. Haley formed the company, which was memorialized in the operating agreement on or about December 16, 2014. The operating agreement was subsequently amended in or around September 1, 2017. The operating agreement at section 6.1 provides that all members shall be given on a monthly basis a statement indicating the income and expenses of the company for the preceding month. The managers and members shall be provided with copies of or access to all books and records of the company on an ongoing basis and shall be provided with the copies of the underlying royalty statements from all third parties promptly after receipt by the company. Thank you, beautiful. Appreciate you. You're not a mod? I'm going to fix that at some point in time if you'd like to join the squad. I'm just noticing that you're not a mod. If you are open to joining the squad, let me know and I'll fix that after this live. Okay, the operating agreement at section 10.3 provides that within 120 days after the end of each fiscal year, the company shall cause to be delivered to each member a financial statement of the company for the prior fiscal year, prepared at the expense of the company, which financial statement shall set forth as of the end of and for such fiscal year the following: a profit and loss statement and a balance sheet for the company, the balance on each member's capital account, and such information as reasonably shall be necessary for the Class A and Class B members to be advised of the financial status and results of operations of the company. Another section provides that upon unanimous determination by the managers, the company may provide the members quarterly operating statements and reports of the financial condition of the company in such form as reasonably and unanimously determined by the managers for each quarter that shall be submitted to the members within 60 days after the end of each such quarter. The operating agreement at Schedule A provides the percentage interests and category splits are as follows. Pharrell holds 50% of the units and is entitled to 50% of touring and other income, and 33% of merchandise and trademark income. Chad and Mr. Haley each hold 25% of the units and are each entitled to 25% of touring and other income, and 33% of merchandising and trademark income. Thank you, beautiful. I appreciate you. Okay, so this is just more kind of splits. Okay. Chad holds 50% ownership interest in the Neptune's entities and is therefore entitled to receive revenues corresponding to that ownership share. Upon review of the incomplete financial records produced by Pharrell, it appears that little revenue has been allocated to plaintiff from the Neptune's entities' profits, which is inconsistent with the Neptune's evident commercial success. Notably, in or around February 2019, after a brief hiatus in their collaboration as the Neptunes, Pharrell expressly stated to Chad that he never wanted to work without Chad again and requested that Chad travel to Miami, Florida to work on various songs under the Neptunes. As part of this renewed arrangement, the parties agreed to a 50-50 production split between them and 50-50 of the publishing split for each composition. These are the same splits which were in effect throughout the entire decades-long working relationship between plaintiff and defendant as the Neptunes. Between 2019 and 2021, Chad fully performed under the arrangement by providing all production services requested and contributing to nearly 50 studio sessions conducted by the Neptunes. So this has been going on for years. This isn't like a recent thing where Pharrell is overwhelmed and has gotten distracted and has just failed to manage what has been going on. He's alleging that I wasn't getting my fair share of the splits for years. Well, he's not Pharrell's artist. So, let's be clear. He's not Pharrell's artist. Thereafter, Pharrell failed to honor Chad's entitlements under the arrangement, denied Chad his rightful publishing share and share of record royalties, and wrongfully took full credit for Chad's contributions without proper attribution or compensation. Interesting. Pharrell failed to provide the required monthly income and expense statements, ongoing access to books and records, prompt copies of third-party royalty statements, and annual financial statements within the prescribed period or at all. Since 2021, Chad has been in the process of trying to obtain the monthly statement books and records and royalty statements to which he is contractually entitled. Pharrell has failed to produce such documents despite repeated demands. In August 21, Chad's then attorney sent Pharrell's attorney a demand letter for production of certain financial documents. No documents were produced. In March 2022, Chad's then lawyer sent a letter to Pharrell's lawyer identifying Pharrell's failure to account for both the company and the Neptune's entity's financial records, placing Pharrell on notice of Chad's claims and need for transparency and compensation. Pharrell failed to resolve these issues. So since March 2022, Pharrell has been aware that Chad has specific claims against him. That is a long time. That is longer than I have patience for, but it sounds like Chad had to change counsel for whatever reason. What the hell? What the hell? I mean, without reading further, what this suggests to me is an exhausted good faith effort on Chad's part to just resolve this without filing a lawsuit. Lawyers first made contact in 2021. In 2022, they made contact again, made their language even stronger, and said, hey, listen, this is actionable. You can be taken to court for this. Give us this, this, and this. And Pharrell failed to resolve these issues. Thank you, beautiful. Appreciate it. He ignoring it like Nikki ignored her house. Very true. Fun fact, Nikki saved her house. I haven't had time to get to it, and I also don't give a shit because fuck her. But in the 11.9th hour, Nikki saved her house. She paid the judgment cash. Thank you for the support, beautiful. Yes. Guess so. There you go. Probably paid it with that Turning Point money. But yeah, so 2021, Chad gets a lawyer. 2022, his lawyer's like, we will sue you. 2023, plaintiffs then March 2023, so a year later, Chad's then lawyer again demanded Pharrell's compliance with the operating agreements, reporting, and record access provisions, expressly quoting specific sections and requesting all the company's financial records. That same letter also addressed Chad's entitlements related to the Neptune's entities. Pharrell nevertheless failed to provide the monthly statements, royalty statements, or comprehensive access to books and records as required by the operating agreement, and failed to provide financial documents related to the Neptune's entities. November 2023, on Chad's behalf, Citron Cooperman sent a detailed document and information request to defendant Williams to Pharrell's counsel, seeking, among other things, monthly and annual financial statements, detailed general ledger data, bank statements, royalty statements, tax documents, and a schedule for profit distributions. Pharrell produced only a limited subset of documents consisting of tax returns between 2016 and 2020, an incomplete collection of bank statements and ledgers, and miscellaneous production agreements related to the Neptune's entities. However, despite the comprehensive request, Pharrell failed to produce core categories of accounting and royalty documentation necessary to assess the company and the Neptune's entities' revenues and plaintiffs' corresponding entitlements. May 2024, Chad's counsel followed up with Pharrell's counsel regarding the missing documents. However, additional documents were never produced. December 2024, Pharrell's counsel promised to produce documents, but no documents were ever produced. Notably, Pharrell's counsel admitted having difficulty accessing the documents, but acknowledged that such documents exist. Pharrell's persistent failure to provide monthly statements, third-party royalty statements, annual financial statements, and ongoing access to books and records constitutes a breach of the operating agreements, reporting, and delivery obligations by the company, and given defendant Williams' controlling managerial role, a breach by defendant Williams in failing to fulfill his duties under the operating agreement and the parties' agreements related to the Neptune's entities. As a result of Pharrell's noncompliance, Chad has been deprived of the transparency necessary to evaluate buyout proposals, confirm the calculation and categorization of distributions owed to him under the operating agreement, and assess revenues from the Neptune's entities and from NERD and all related merchandise, trademarks, and recordings. That's interesting. Chad has been deprived of the transparency necessary to evaluate buyout proposals, confirm the calculation and categorization of distributions owed to him, and assess revenues. The buyout proposals piece is very interesting. But again, to my question before we even started this document of, I wonder what kind of a timeline we're going to learn about. This has been going on for years. Upon information and belief, Chad has not received his appropriate share of royalties in connection with the Neptunes and Nerds album sales and released music, as well as distributions from touring income and various merchandising deals. Alternatively, Pharrell distributed the funds in a manner inconsistent with the operating agreement's explicitly stated percentages splits and agreements related to the Neptunes. Upon information and belief, Chad alleges that Pharrell entered a series of deals involving Nerd without consulting with Chad or accounting for any of the proceeds to which Chad is entitled. By way of example, Pharrell, on behalf of the company, entered a partnership with Corner Merchandising, to which Chad was entitled to 33.3% of all the profits. Plaintiff received approximately $136,765 between August 22 and September 23. Though merchandise sales continued past that date, plaintiff has not received any corresponding distributions past September 2023. Further, Pharrell, on behalf of the company, partnered with multiple fashion and streetwear brands, but no contracts or revenues have been disclosed to plaintiff. By way of further example, and upon information and belief, plaintiff is owed at least $325,000 to $575,000, yeah, with potential damages exceeding $750,000 to a million for the No One Ever Really Dies album alone, which debuted at number 10 on Billboard and has millions of streams. Further, upon information and belief, defendant Williams has diverted revenues generated by the company and or the Neptunes to one or more of the defendant's entities in an effort to conceal and deprive Chad of his rightful share of profits and royalties. On or about March 31, 2023, Chad's then counsel requested that the parties, the company, the Neptune entities, and the defendant entities enter into a tolling agreement so that the parties could pursue negotiations while preserving all rights. The tolling agreement expired January 24, 2026. Expires today. Count one, breach of fiduciary duty against Pharrell Williams. Chad realleges and incorporates by reference each and every allegation contained so far in this document through this next section. At all relevant times, Chad was a founding member of NERD with contractual rights under the company's operating agreement to specified shares of royalties and income distributions from the company's album releases and music, touring, merchandise deals, and collaborations. At all relevant times, Chad was a founding member of the Neptunes and holds a 50% ownership interest in the Neptunes entities. At all relevant times, Pharrell was a founding member of NERD and, pursuant to the operating agreement, the managing member, sole authorized signatory, and tax matters member. Further, at all relevant times, defendant Williams was a founding member of the Neptunes and holds a 50% ownership interest in the Neptunes entities. Upon information and belief, defendant Williams is the managing member of the Neptunes entities. Pharrell's role as the managing member, sole authorized signatory, required him to exercise control over the company's financial reporting, books and records, and distributions, which included monthly and annual reporting of the same to Chad, thereby owing Chad the fiduciary duties of loyalty, care, good faith, and full and fair disclosure with respect to the company's affairs and revenues. Notwithstanding these fiduciary duties and the express requirements of the operating agreement, Pharrell failed and refused to provide Chad with monthly income and expense statements, prompt copies of third-party royalty statements, annual financial statements, and ongoing access to books and records, despite Chad's repeated requests for the same. A lot of this is repetitory, but this goes over again. He's been deprived of the information necessary to verify royalties and distributions, detect and challenge any misallocation or diversion of revenues, and to evaluate buyout proposals and other transactions. Pharrell owes duties and revenues generated in connection with the Neptunes. Pharrell has denied Chad his rightful publishing share and share of record royalties and wrongfully taking full credit for Chad's contributions to the Neptunes without proper attribution or compensation. As a direct or proximate result, Chad has suffered substantial monetary damages, including unpaid or underpaid royalties, touring income, and merchandise and trademark revenues reasonably estimated in the hundreds of thousands of dollars or more, as well as consequential harm, including loss of transparency and control over his membership interest and the costs and expenses of engaging professionals and counsel to investigate and obtain information and payments that should have been provided in the ordinary course of business. Upon information and belief, Pharrell engaged in self-dealing, concealing material information, and upon information and belief, diverted money owed to Chad. Such willful, fraudulent, and malicious conduct warrants the imposition of punitive damages. Count 2, accounting. Pharrell is supposed to keep the books, share the books per the agreement, has failed to do that. For all financial affairs. All financial affairs. Chad has been denied financial statements, royalty statements, ledgers, bank records, and other documentation needed to determine what sums are owed, thereby rendering Chad unable to ascertain the precise balance due to him without a formal court-supervised accounting. Oh, boy. They said, we can't tell you how much the damages are. We need the court to figure out what is Chad's money in the first place. Court supervised. As a direct result of Pharrell's failure and refusal to provide the required financial information and accounting, Chad has been deprived of transparency into the company's finances, is unable to verify the correctness of royalties and distributions received, and reasonably believes that substantial additional sums are owing but undisclosed. It's a fair assumption to make. Just be yapping. Thank you for the $5 contribution to the docket fund. We got a little under a half an hour left on that goal. Appreciate you all for your support. Count 3, accounting. It's a repeat of everything. Nothing new there. Count 4, declaratory relief against all defendants. Plaintiff seeks declaratory relief to resolve an actual ongoing controversy concerning the parties' respective rights and obligations under the operating agreement and NERD-related revenue streams, the Neptune entities and the Neptune-related revenue streams, and the revenue streams related to the defendant entities. This is, I have to say, strategically very smart, and he's probably going to get this from the court. He is saying there is an actual dispute related to a contract, and the court needs to determine the facts of the dispute, the facts of the operating agreement, and then therefore the facts of the dispute. This is very, very smart, very measured. He's like, this dude owes me some money for my work. He also owes me damages for putting me through this bullshit to figure out how much money he owes me for my work. But the court, it needs to step in now to do some fact finding on an actual dispute, which courts do. Do not tempt a court with a good time. Hey, we have a contract and there's a dispute about what they're suggesting is, what I'm guessing is, at some point in time, Pharrell's attorneys said something to the effect of, we don't actually have to get our read of the operating agreement, or this, one section of the operating agreement. We don't actually have to give you this one thing. We don't actually have to give you that. We just need to reflect the numbers in a thing. That's an actual real-time dispute over a binding contract. Don't tempt a court with a good time. They will immediately be like, page 1. And once the court has a grasp on the operating agreement, they will then apply it to the complaint. And then the court can determine what needs to happen from there, which will involve Pharrell being required to hand over to the court for its evaluation all of the stuff that Chad Hugo has been trying to get for years. For the court to determine what monies are owed to him based on this operating agreement and the revenues that have come in over whatever the period of time is. So, smart. Strategically smart. Not the first time I've seen folks come in with an actual dispute or an actual controversy. So that language is specific. This is happening right now and requires the court. It's not just a thing that happened in the past that we're seeking redress for. This is now ongoing harm contract dispute. A judicial declaration of the parties' respective rights and obligations under the operating agreement, the Neptune's entities operating agreement, and the defendant entities operating agreements, including, without limitation, plaintiff's information and accounting rights, his economic interests in defined revenue categories, and defendant Williams' duties and authority as managing member of the company. The Neptune's entities and the defendant's entities will resolve the uncertainty and controversy between the parties and guide their future conduct. So what they're saying as what they want is their kind of declaratory brief, is they're like, Judge, you tell us. That's what they're saying. You tell us, Judge. You read the operating agreement and you tell us, what is our client entitled to? Okay, and based on these operating agreements, what is Pharrell responsible for doing? You tell us. That will vastly help us litigate/negotiate this complaint, whether on the docket or behind closed doors. Let's get that straight. So what I said before about, I would imagine at some point in time, Pharrell's lawyers said to Chad's lawyers, oh, well, our interpretation of section, 10, subsection D is not the same as yours. So this is Chad's lawyer saying to the court, you tell us, all of us, what are our responsibilities? What are our duties? What are we owed? What can we expect? And what is he supposed to be doing? Let's start with that. That will vastly help resolve the uncertainty and controversy between the parties and guide their future conduct. They don't agree on the interpretation of the operating agreements. So this is Chad's lawyers saying, okay, the judge needs to tell us then. It does. It does speak to confidence. It absolutely does speak to confidence. They're going right for it. Let's go right to these operating agreements and let's put that before a judge. A hugely reasonable request. Hugely reasonable request. Entry of declaratory relief will clarify whether Pharrell was and is obligated to provide specific categories of financial information. I'm smart. and payments going forward, thereby avoiding further disputes, preventing a multiplicity of actions, and stabilizing the parties' legal relationship under the operating agreement, the Neptune's entities operating agreement, and the defendant entities operating agreements. Chad respectfully requests that this court for compensatory damages in an amount to be proven at trial, including but not limited to unpaid or underpaid royalties, touring income, merchandise, and trademark revenues, and other proceeds related to the company and the Neptune's entities wrongfully withheld or misallocated. Number two, for damages according to proof for breach of fiduciary duty under the operating agreement and the Neptune's entities operating agreement. Three, for punitive damages for breach of fiduciary duty under the operating agreement and the Neptune's entities operating agreement. Four, for equitable relief on the accounting cause of action, including A, a full and complete accounting of all revenues, expenses, and distributions related to the company and the Neptune's entities. Five, for a judicial declaration of the parties' respective rights and obligations under the operating agreement, including without limitation, Chad's rights to financial information, books and records, and royalty and financial statements, Chad's percentage and category-based interest in touring and other income, merchandise and trademark income, and other defined revenue streams, and Pharrell's duties and authority as managing member, sole authorized signatory, and tax matters member to cause Nerd Music LLC to comply with those obligations. Number six, he's not even suing to like have him removed, right? He's like, no, we own these companies. This is our business together heretofore forever, because we're going to be collecting royalties on our work forever. So it's you and me, buddy, forever. But the court is going to tell us the legal obligations of our professional relationship. And then we shouldn't have any problems with our professional relationship going forward. These are some big boy pants. Chad Hugo has on big boy pants. These are big boy pants. Number six, for a judicial declaration of the parties' respective rights and obligations under the Neptune's entities operating agreement, for a judicial declaration of the parties' respective rights and obligations under the defendant's entities operating agreements, for pre-judgment and post-judgment interest at the maximum rate allowed by law, for an award of Chad's cost of suit, including reasonable attorney's fees, expert fees, and accounting audit costs for the extent permitted by law or contract. Finally, for such other and further legal and equitable relief as the court may deem just and proper. Demand for a jury trial. Monk Wilson Mandala. That is a name. That is the law firm, Monk, Wilson, and Mandala, Brent J. Lehman, and Dina of Sepian. So, and then we're not going to go through this, but I'll keep it because it was filed and because Alex was kind enough to pay for it and download it. The operating agreement. Or maybe several operating agreements, I'm not sure, but there's at least one here. So yeah, Chad is got his big boy pants all the way on and is IMO reasonably suing Pharrell. Yeah. Yeah, at least he's not waiting until he's 60 and can't pay his bills and has to put up a GoFundMe so he doesn't lose his housing. Pale French titties for Pharrell. I said what I said. Powdered and pale. Powdered and pale bug bite little titties for Pharrell. Because, yeah, I don't. This is one of the most reasonable lawsuits we've read on this channel. It's like, you're supposed to do this. I'm supposed to do this. These things aren't happening. He's been trying for years. For years. And now he's done trying. And he's like, well, we'll just let a court step in then. And so in order to make this lawsuit go away, Pharrell's going to have to satisfy a lot of frustration that Chad very clearly has, because this has been going on since 2019. It's 2026. You're going to have to satisfy all of your fiduciary duties, the level of transparency that he would have to create. That's what he would have to overcome. Thank you, beautiful. Appreciate you. We got a little under 15 minutes left. Appreciate you. That's what he would have to satisfy. It's not just the money. It's I need to be able to see everything. I need the utmost transparency based on my interpretation of the ownership agreement. And honest to God, when it comes to stuff like that, I don't really give a shit what Pharrell's attorney's interpretation of the agreement are. This is supposed to be your boy. Your ace. You would not be where you are today without him. Would you be in music? Sure, yes. But you would not be where you are today without this man. He's supposed to be your ace. It should be no problem, whether it's in the operating agreement or not. To show your work. Just show it. Have it in order and ready to go, and just show it. Thank you, beautiful. Appreciate you. So you don't have shit in order, because if you had it in order, it would be available to just show him. But you don't have that. So why would he trust that he's getting everything if you don't have that to show him? That's reasonable. You're in business together. And the splits are defined. So it's reasonable for somebody to say, hey, I want to check the work. Okay. You shouldn't be mad at somebody because they're covering their own ass and exercising due diligence on their own behalf. That's part of being in business. If you can't handle that, you shouldn't enter into business relationships with people. One of the things that I noticed in here is that Chad alludes to, through his attorney, the potential for multiple litigation, multiple issues that could come up through various acts of litigation. And one of the things that he says in here very clearly, multiple times, is that Pharrell has taken credit for his works that he created. Pharrell took credit for, and he hasn't gotten a writing credit for, and so forth. That could be an example of another piece of actionable litigation separate from this one if this doesn't get resolved. So I'm not surprised necessarily. I'm surprised that it got to a lawsuit because the bar to settle is real high now. And this has been going on for years. It's just like Cameron suing J. Cole. Not surprised at all at the things that he alleges about J. Cole's character ultimately. What the only thing that surprised me is that really, nigga? J. Cole, you couldn't resolve this before a lawsuit was filed? Really? I feel the same way about this. Really, Pharrell? Really? Sitting up there in your ivory tower with your croissant. Okay, boy. Whatever. But you're not but here's the thing. This is a technical problem. You're not just gonna be able to settle. He doesn't just want money. He wants a judge to say to Pharrell, "Hey, buddy, this is what this operating agreement means. This is what you are legally required to do as the managing partner of these companies. These are your duties to Chad every month, every quarter, every year, per revenue stream, of which there are multiple. This is what you need to show Chad every month, every quarter, every year." Again, the bar to settle just became exponentially higher because by filing this lawsuit, Chad is saying, "I have lost all good faith. I have lost all good faith in Pharrell." And that's huge. That's huge. On a business level, that's massive. But he stopped short of he should be removed as the managing person. Nope, he's just like, "Judge, Imma need you to tell this nigga how to do his fucking job with respect to these companies." Because I'm pretty sure he's knifing me in the back. So unless Pharrell just waves the white flag, calls uncle, and gets down on both knees and says, "Okay, I cede to your interpretation of the agreement, and here's everything." Again, I don't think he has everything because, again, if that's your ace, if that's your boy, it would be nothing to show him before having to get to this point. Chad has been trying to get the same documentation since 2019. It's 2026. Good faith is gone. Gone. And I will be shocked if this resolves on its own. Shocked. It's not impossible, but I don't think it's gonna happen. Yeah, exactly. It's in this case, very technical. Yeah, very technical. And he wants this to never be a problem again, right? And if you've lost good faith in your business partner, then why would you think that it's not gonna be a problem in the future? What Chad has identified is this is gonna be if the court doesn't step in and tell this motherfucker what it is he's supposed to be doing, I'm gonna be dealing with this problem for the rest of my fucking life. And I don't ever wanna deal with this problem again for the rest of my fucking life, whether we produce another bit of music together or not. This aspect of the business relationship, I need to not have a problem with this again for the rest of my life. I mean, the diverting money thing is that's problematic for sure. Because the money is going somewhere, but he explicitly accuses him of diverting revenue streams from their shared companies to Pharrell's the entities that Pharrell controls. That's a problem. That's a problem. Allegedly. Again, thank you to Alex. Thank you for the $2 contribution, and thank you for coming up with this docket and document. Pharrell is culturally inappropriate. Yeah, if he's done it once, he'll do it again. A big problem. And again, Pharrell is in his, Pharrell is living in his ivory tower. Yeah, he's a resident of the great state of Florida, barely. Pharrell is holed up in his ivory tower in Paris in his free housing, because that's what you get. You get free housing, that you immediately lose when they eventually fire you from that fucking job. Um, but he has so much money and so much privilege and so much access. He's largely insulated in a huge way. And this is unfortunately one of the only ways to bring him to heel. Yes, I said bring him to heel. So I guess this will be one one to watch because even though this is very I mean, the tone of this document is super neutral. It's not inflammatory in any way. It is largely just the facts, ma'am, you know? Um, it's not vitriolic in any way, it's not really dramatic in any way, it's just, "Here's the situation," you know? Um, and again, that makes me think that Chad is all business, no talk, and he knows Pharrell better than any of us do, and that is a factor. After all those years of working together, and after 6, 7 years of trying to get this same damn documentation, he came to the conclusion that he's gonna have to sue him in federal court. So I guess that's what's happening. We'll, circle back on this one, in about a month or so, however long it takes for them to serve him and then for his response to come onto the docket. I would imagine, unless he's decided to take a "fuck him" approach, I would imagine that his gut reaction is gonna be to see if his lawyers can settle this and get it voluntarily dismissed. But if Chad's lawyers are smart, and I think they are, because they didn't start with this case. Another attorney had this case for a long time, and they took it over, which means they had to go through somebody else's work. Then they had to establish for themselves their own attempts at goodwill conflict resolution and working together with Pharrell's attorneys to also determine, we gonna have to sue this dude. So years and years and years before everybody decides, yeah, we gonna have to sue. So if they're smart, they'll say, we can have settlement negotiations. We're still serving you. And if we settle, then we settle. It's a moot point. But if not, see him on the docket. Yeah. I I'm not surprised by any of this. I'm just not surprised by any of this, mostly because I feel like Pharrell is really full of himself. And I have definitely felt that way. I mean, I've felt that way since Happy, whatever the hell that song was called. People just started just blowing all the hot air into his head over that fucking song. So that was a first indicator again, for me. But again, his little speech at the Vatican, I was like, "Oh boy, this boy done jumped the shark." This boy done jumped the shark. He thinks he's living in nirvana, and he's definitely mixing and drinking his own Kool-Aid on all the things that matter in the world right now. So from there, it's not a leap to this. It's really disappointing though. If what Chad alleges is true, it's really disappointing. You should be better than that when it comes to the collaborator who most helped change your life. And you should not be taking credit for his work, allegedly. Hi, Anna. Annalisa says, why do industry folks consistently have problems paying their bills and giving appropriate credit? Uh, I don't know. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what his response is. Like, and not his public statement, because I'm sure he's gonna have one. I don't care about his public statement. I wanna see what he says on the docket. Um, Clearly, he's gonna invoke what his interpretation of the operating agreements are and what his responsibilities therein are and what information Chad is and is not entitled to. He's gonna put all of that in there, and I wanna see it because this is supposed to be your boy. The one person of all of the people he has collaborated with, done business with, the one person who you should have full transparency with, you would think it would be reasonable to think it would be Chad. Allegedly, no. Yeah. And to have, the Neptunes be more about him than about the duo. So when I see things in this lawsuit like, oh, he didn't credit me for my contributions to our music. And then, your mind just flashes to everybody talking about this dude is a producing genius, and he is, but he's a collaborator. Again, I have no personal experience with Pharrell, but I just none of this is beyond reach for me. Unfortunately. There's a singer from, I can't remember what country she's from. I wanna say Lagos, but I'm probably wrong. Anyway, her name is Nneka. She has a lyric in one of her songs where she says, "Allow my soul not to perish, for me to be dressed in laces." I get chills just thinking about it. Allow my soul not to perish, for me to experience the finer things in life. So that's the lawsuit of Chad versus Pharrell. And on its face, it's pretty damning. And it sounds like we're all in agreement that we wouldn't be surprised if anything or everything in the lawsuit turns out to be true. So, I guess ultimately, what does that say about Pharrell? That's kind of crazy. That's an interesting rock and a hard place. That's an interesting dichotomy that we can talk about him in his genius and all of his accomplishments and all the bangers he's produced. We've had that conversation on this channel right before clips came out and during and after. And then at the very same time, and it's not like he has a reputation for being dastardly. Yes, there have been a couple things that have happened, but it's not like when Diddy was indicted and we were all like, "Well, fucking finally, this dude's been violent since Howard," right? It's not like that. But at the same time, none of us none of us are like, "This must be an understanding." Pharrell would never. Like, nobody has said that so far in the chat. Nobody has been like, "Thank you." And it's 2 N's. And it's not CH, but it's NECA. And I'm aware that there's more than one, so let me show you which one I'm talking about. It's her song Sufri. On some versions, it's Sufri, and on other versions, it's called Sufri Sufri. But it's her song Sufri, which is a beautiful song. It's still in my rotation today. I love me some NECA, but yeah. But it's yes, it's NNEKA. That is correct. Nigerian. Yeah, she's great. If you ever have an opportunity to see her live, highly recommend. She's you'll have a transformative experience. She's incredible. So yeah. We've read it, we're in the know. We've read it and we're in the know. It's too bad. It's really too bad. But good for Chad. You know, I mean, unfortunately, it's unfortunate that it had to come to this, but good for him for saying, you know what? You know what, dude? I've tried. I've tried. You've been nothing but a headache. And I'm not going to deal with this BS for the rest of my life. We going to one and done this in court. Otherwise, I'm going to be fighting tooth and nail in every direction for all of the things, for transparency, for my money, for nobody wants to live the rest of their life that way. We have a standard operating, relationship, contractual, splits clear, reporting clear. Payouts should be standard operating procedure at this point in time. Like, there should be no, like, the system should be established. Yeah, that's annoying. That's really annoying. Me. I'll be the first one to say, I think Chad's about to get paid. Yeah, I think Chad's about to get paid anywhere from 1 to 5. Depending on what's outstanding. Chad's about to get paid anywhere from 1 to 5. Yeah, I definitely think he's gonna get paid. Sure, why not? Chase says Pharrell was too busy making boring clothes and spoken word poetry about people who criticize him to pay his friend fairly. Many such cases. Yeah, it's really too bad. All the things. I feel you. There are so many people I'm breaking off first. There are so many people that I'm just breaking off first. That's how you gonna know I won the lotto. I'm not gonna call you with, "I won the lotto." Imma show up at your door with a check. You're gonna be like, "What the fuck you doing here?" I'm gonna be like, "Bitch, come in, sit down. I got something to tell you. Imma need you to sign this non-disclosure. Imma hand you this check. Retire. Retire, okay? Alright then." Yeah, that's exactly how it would go down. I wouldn't call you like, "Oh my god, da da da, da da da." Nope. Nope, I'm not doing that. I'm just gonna show up one day at your house. I don't care where the fuck you live. I don't care if you're in Virginia. Imma show up at your house. "Do, do, 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 do. Hello." Yeah, then I'm gonna blow your fucking mind. Then we can freak out together. Then we can freak out together. Yep. Mhm. Yeah. This would be the one of the number one things I would do is buy medical debt. That'd be one of the abso-fucking-lutely. Yes. Yes. Mhm. Yeah. So, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Yeah. Fortunately or unfortunately, I'm inclined to believe Chad, and I hope he gets everything that he's due, including peace. Because it sounds like that's one of the things he really wants going forward is not to deal with this bullshit again. And that's completely reasonable. It's draining, it's emotionally draining, it's financially draining, and it's just a headache. So, yeah, peace, peace, peace. So, let's see what else is happening today. David's homie was arrested. It's interesting because I was literally just thinking of this case yesterday. And I was thinking to myself, "Oh, well, I guess they're not going to indict him because the grand jury has been impaneled for a while, and how fucking long it's not that complicated. They're either going to indict him or they're not, and I guess they're not." Well, as it turns out, one of the reasons why it has taken so long, and we did hear grumblings that there was somebody who was refusing to testify before the grand jury. Well, they went and arrested that man in another state. He's already back in California sitting in jail for contempt of court for failure to appear, a felony failure to appear, mind you. So I guess that's one of the things that they were trying to get in order before they indict this man is dealing with this witness who himself is a popular streamer. I can't remember his name. Neo, Neo comes to mind. He's been arrested, baby. He's sitting in jail. Yeah, he's sitting in jail. Maybe he's out by now, but it's crazy because I was like, "Oh, wow, he's gotta go through this whole they gonna extradite him." Baby, they arrested him on Thursday. He was back in California last night. So I guess extradition was not an issue. I said, "Wow, that was fast." But it probably took them a couple weeks to get their ducks in a row. We had to get through the holidays, people being out on their pre-scheduled vacations and all of that. Then you gotta coordinate across state lines and between jurisdictions on, when you can grab him up and then seamlessly move him back to the state of California, and baby, they did that. They did that. So, if he doesn't testify before the grand jury, which I'm assuming he's gonna take the 5th. Okay, I'm assuming he gonna take the 5th. He probably gonna go up on his own charges. But I feel pretty confident that whether he gives frank and forthcoming testimony during the grand jury or not, having him in hand and making the attempt, they determined was an essential step to indictment, whether he talks or doesn't talk. So, thank you. Neo Langston. So, yep, yep. You shouldn't go hang out. You shouldn't go hide out in your mama's home when you know they looking for you. You shouldn't do that because they will use whatever means. They could have threw flash grenades into that home. They could have done whatever they wanted to. Thankfully, it looked like it was an uncomplicated, you know, boy, get your ass out here. We got a warrant for your arrest. And they handcuffed him on the front stoop and that was that. But don't when you know the police looking for your ass, do not go hide in your mother's home because depending on the jurisdiction your mama live in, the police force that is assisting, and the crimes you are being charged with, they may level your mama home to get to you. Then you got that on your shoulders too. Then they also have cause to search her home for anything that you may have hidden inside of it. Cut up her furniture. Don't hide out at your mama's home. Don't do that. Go find one of your bitch boy red pill friends. Sleep on their couch. Bum. Baby, he killed that girl. Okay. He killed that girl. The question is, can they develop enough evidence to charge and convict him? They believe at least one other person was involved, according to news reports. So maybe it's this dude, maybe it's somebody else. I don't really know. But the question has always been, for me, anyway, for funsies in my head, will they be able to develop evidence that he actually killed her? Not that he unlawfully disposed of her body, not that he unlawfully dismembered her body. Those are crimes. They are separate. They are not the same thing as murder or homicide. So when people were up in arms and huffing and puffing, how come he hasn't been arrested yet? That is a dumbass question. It is 2026. Dismembering a body doesn't mean you killed the person. Disposing of the body doesn't mean that you dismembered it or that you killed them. Those things are not evidence of murder. They need evidence of murder. And we don't know what that evidence is. But I do think that they will, it sounds like that they will get there. I was not always confident, but also young people are stupid and they talk and they text and they do all sorts of other things to document their nefarious deeds because they're not smart. So I'm sure they got warrants to electronically access all of their goddamn devices, let alone go in and seize various devices through other warrants. But phone records, text messages, all that shit was a rapadoo. The feds have a fucking open back door to Discord. They can walk into damn near anybody's Discord at any point in time. So we don't know what they have, but they have something. Yeah, they've got something. So we shall see. Waffle houses are closing down various points of the country where the storm is predicted to be the worst. So again, be careful. Don't bring things on fire into your home if your power goes out. Somebody posted a comment earlier with regard to the shooting in Minneapolis, which I can confirm. Family members say the man killed by a U.S. Border Patrol officer in Minneapolis on Saturday was an intensive care nurse at a Department of Veterans Affairs hospital who cared deeply about people and was upset by President Donald Trump's immigration crackdown in his city. Alex Jeffrey Pretti, 37, was an avid outdoorsman who enjoyed getting in adventures with his beloved dog, who also recently died. He had participated in protests following the killing of Renee Good. Quote, he cared about people deeply and he was very upset, said Michael Pretti, Alex's father. He thought it was terrible, kidnapping children, just grabbing people off the street. He cared about those people and he knew it was wrong. So he did participate in protests. This is a report from KSTP, Channel 5 Eyewitness News. Pretti was a U.S. citizen born in Illinois. He had no criminal record, never had any interactions with law enforcement besides a few traffic tickets. His father said, we had this discussion with him 2 weeks ago or so, that go ahead and protest, but do not engage. Do not do anything stupid, basically. And he said he knows that. He knew that. Family members say Pretti owned a handgun and had a permit to carry a concealed handgun in Minnesota. He was never known to actually carry it. They learned of the shooting when they were called by an AP reporter. They watched the video and said the man killed appeared to be their son. They then tried to reach out to officials in Minnesota. His father said, I can't get any information from anybody. The police, they said to call Border Patrol. Border Patrol's closed. The hospitals won't answer any questions. Eventually, the family called the medical examiner, who they said confirmed had a body matching the name and description of their son. He grew up in Green Bay, where he played football, baseball, ran track. He was a Boy Scout and sang in the Green Bay Boys Choir. He went to the University of Minnesota, graduated in 2011 with a bachelor's degree in biology, society, and the environment. He worked as a research scientist before returning to school to become a registered nurse. His ex-wife said that he participated in George Floyd protests. They often live streamed what was happening during those protests on social media. His ex-wife described him as someone who would shout at law enforcement officers at a protest, but had never known him to be physically confrontational. These kinds of things. His ex-wife says he felt the injustice. It doesn't surprise me he would be involved. She also confirmed he had a permit to carry. She said he never carried it around me because it made me uncomfortable. She said he had a great heart. His neighbors describe him as quiet and warm-hearted. His downstairs neighbor said he was a wonderful person. He had a great heart. He was an environmentalist, which makes me think about Donald Trump's post on social media the other day, where he called people in Minneapolis environmental insurrectionists. What are the chances that the President of the United States calls protesters environmental insurrectionists, and then less than 36 hours, a federal agent kills an environmentalist? His mother said he hated people were trashing the land. He was an outdoorsman. He took his dog everywhere he went. He loved this country, but he hated what people were doing to it. It's the end of the report. I'd just like to point out that even though the government is asserting that he had a gun, pulled a gun, waved a gun, sucked on a gun, whatever the fuck it is that they're saying, just because he had a permit to carry, we don't know that he had his gun on him. And we can't believe what the government says. In the video that I saw, he's holding his phone, he's not holding a gun. So we don't know that he took his gun out of his home. We don't know that he had a gun on him at the time. The only thing that we know is that they shot him dead in the street, and we can't trust anything that they say. Me too. Alex Pretti. You didn't deserve that. Nobody does. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. I will see you all very soon. Take care. Peace.